Good evening. This is the elected officials compensation committee meeting of March 4th, 2025. Currently meeting in City Hall, council chambers, City of Inkster. Roll call, Member Miller,
I am here.
Member Rose,
Present.
Member Hall,
Present.
Member Sims, absent, Member Mitchell, present. We can have a moment of quiet meditation, please. Okay, thank you. All right. Old business. I don't believe we had any to consider. Is that correct? But we do have some new business.
Is old business considered what we talked about last time, or is this something?
Well, it will be new business because you have to retract your motion.
Okay.
Officer Hall, at our last meeting, we had a motion placed before us for compensation for council members. And after the meeting was ended, Officer Hall expressed his concern about the motion that he had made, and he wanted to review, I think, retract the motion and make a new motion. So there, I don't know whether we need, but Robert's rules say that whoever made it has to bring it back to make a new motion. So that's why it's gonna be on you. So if you wanna make the new motion, then we can have discussion.
Do we talk about all of it as a whole, or just council?
Talking about council, because the other was settled.
Okay. Yes. All right. I want to retract the motion for the city council increase amount.
Okay.
Due to the fact of misunderstanding, I thought we had to go in front of council for approval and come back again. Misunderstanding. And that this was the all in all.
Support.
So you're saying that because you thought we had to get approval from council,
Based off our discussion, we all thought we had to come back if something, this is all for all, which means I thought like we can just, if something happens, don't get approved, we come back and discuss it again with more information in a sense. So, I know this is all for all, so I just kind of felt, I speak on that. I feel like a little more increase would be better.
I don't go too deep into it.
Oh.
I motion
Okay,
to reconsider.
a
yeah.
motion to reconsider to go back into discussion or.
Give me a second.
You got a second for the reconsideration?
I want to hear.
Well, you can still, who seconded the motion?
I did.
Okay, so then you have to second that motion to reconsider,
I'll second the motion to reconsider.
okay? I got this from a parliamentarian authority, so that's what we have to do, okay? So the motion is to be reconsidered. Now, Officer Hall,
That's all on me, huh?
yes.
All right.
Brother.
We are at the stage where we're going to reconsider our deliberation.
I'm not just talking about what I want.
Now you good.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you good now.
Once again, due to a lot of things I had looked into and thought about as far as increases, and we also discussed that an increase never happened since 2016. I feel the 500 wasn't enough as far as an increase due to other surrounding things I looked into, and also, and 10 years, that's a long time. And once again, we don't know some things we don't know how things, it's our first time doing this again within years, in a sense. So I just think that we should do a more of an increase. My consideration, we changed to 500. I'll say, what was the other one I read? So that was, what's the percentage of that one?
That's the 500 increase. This is about 1,000.
Okay, that was 1,000 right here.
Mm-hmm. And this was increasing it. 10,000. This is increasing to 93.
I prefer to increase to the 5 and 5. That's what that is versus the. So this was the 5,000.
Yeah, that's the 500. So that's yeah, about.
Okay. And that was the.
That's increasing it to 10,000 per council person.
How much?
No, we're going with some numbers. No, numbers.
Yeah, so this is just what the
gotcha.
total amount.
Total amount.
Council
Okay,
person, yeah.
now. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And this is where they're currently at.
Okay. I say increase it instead of the 500 to to $1,000.
$1,000 increase?
Yeah, is that what that is? 'Cause I know we're doing 3 numbers. I don't know I gotta figure out the numbers were exactly.
We were playing with the numbers here, so we're saying make it an even number.
Even number. Okay.
Yeah. So you saying 9,300, or do you want to round it to 94? Which one?
New 93.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a little over 10%.
Yeah, a little over 10%. Versus the 500 that we all agreed on.
Where are they at currently? I don't have mine. Where are they at?
$8,397.
One more time, brother, I'm sorry.
$8,397 a year.
Per annum?
Yeah,
Per
per
year.
year.
Okay. And you wanna put 1,000 on top of that?
Yes, because we all talked about 500. Once again, we had little discussions about other things, and of course, other things came into consideration because it's all for all in a sense.
Okay.
Probably will come back to the table again to about another 2-3 years, I think,
So
before
$1,000. Okay.
versus the 5.
Okay. And these are static increases, right? We're not putting any escalators, no rider, no anything. We're just making a static increase for everybody, and then they have to come revisit it again for any other increases. That's where y'all at so far.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Part of the problem with this commission is that there are no guidelines for us.
Sure, I see that as a plus.
I don't.
I was like,
No,
I
don't,
like trailblazers.
because that allows you to be willy-nilly with what you want to do. I always look for structure in what I do.
Mhm.
And because there are no guidelines, it makes it, I don't like the way it's.
Yeah, they don't have any minutes from past. If I remember that right, there's no past minutes from previous commissions
There's no
that have been.
definition, there's no procedure established, nothing. I mean, it's just not the way business is supposed to be handled, and that's another discussion altogether with the powers that be. Because as far as I'm concerned, they need to get it together and let people understand what their duties are, how they expect you to go about them, etc. So, but that's neither here nor there. I'm off the subject. So, that just comes from years of working strategically. I don't do stuff off the top of my head. It just doesn't make any sense. And it comes back to bite you in the butt later on.
Yeah.
But,
I just wanted to comment. I think, Chairwoman, you do raise a good point, and this may be something to visit moving forward. You know, the charter speaks to the compensation committee, but it also references the board. And I don't know to what extent that has ever been followed through, but just in terms of guidelines, or which can be general, specific, more or less. There is some guidance in the charter. The language that I refer to is it talks about because the charter was, I believe, adopted in 2016, I believe, and then that initial compensation committee was put in place, and then they adopted the salary that I believe is still in effect. And that would have been like late 2016 or sometime in and around there. And it says that, the salary shall be reviewed by the Compensation Commission at its next regular meeting following adoption of the charter, and adjusted so that the mayor's salary will be consistent with the standards of other mayors in the state who are the executive and chief administrator of their cities. And what I take from that is they're pointing to other salaries as a guide, not that it needs to be, the overriding principle, but I do think the language in terms of how the charter was written, that updated charter language, I think it does point to looking at surrounding communities. And I
We
know
did that.
That was something that was,
We did that.
considered at the first meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, I think it could be going forward more guidance that's provided, but I did just want to point that out, that there is that language.
Yeah, I think I forwarded the language to the committee because we were all, what are we supposed to do? But I'm still saying that there need to be specific procedures that we should follow.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the questions I continue to have is, how do you determine, I guess I consider that there should be some kind of benchmark
Yes.
for elected officials to meet. Because with this particular system, it's just a willy-nilly whatever you want to do. And that's not what I consider good custodianship of taxpayer dollars.
Amen.
So what I'm saying simply is that we've had quite a bit of discussion about council, for example, and how well have they done their jobs. And when we looked at the charter, we seem to think that they have fallen short of their duties. And the bottom line is that once you're elected, your job starts. It's not just because you were elected and that's it.
Right.
You have work to do. And that's one reason I think we're back here, besides, I guess, Officer Hall thinking there wasn't enough remuneration. But we need to develop a way to really assess the quality of people's work rather than just coming here and saying, okay, let's give them 500. Okay, that's not the way to do it. I'm sure no CEO in a company operates like that.
Yeah, I would just submit that I don't necessarily think that's what you're saying is not anything that I would disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just very strongly state that the purpose of this committee is to set the amount.
Yeah, we know.
How a individual council person or individual employee is evaluated, I think that is well beyond the scope of this body.
Mm-hmm.
I think a number of people will make an argument that's what elections are for.
Yeah.
To determine how well someone does their job. I know it has been suggested not just by you, but others over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to, because one of the key points that I recall was that there's supposed to be district meetings.
Mhm.
Yes, there are.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if someone doesn't attend a council meeting? And just from a practical standpoint, that person is elected. Being able, just like members of Congress, for example, there's not a mechanism that I'm aware of if they don't show up for votes. That's something that again I believe is kind of beyond the scope, and it would be a lot to ask of you all to try and set some mechanism in place for that to be executed in any kind of reasonable manner, because it's so subjective.
Well, to give you a counter to that, in the Michigan legislature, there is a vehicle that would allow the House Speaker to arrest a person who is supposed to be on the floor doing their duty that was a big bone of contention when Joe Tate refused to rein in Christina, whatever her name was. She should have been arrested for not reporting for her
But
duty.
that has nothing to do with their compensation.
Well,
That is a tool that, from a procedural standpoint, the speaker could exercise to force people to come, if there's a meeting. That's an operational thing for that body. That's completely separate and distinct from, their compensation. You know, again, I think just especially specifically when we're talking about elected officials,
yeah.
I think the power of their evaluation lies with the voters, first and foremost. And so if they elect that person,
But the voters don't set their salary.
that
So who does that?
this
The
commission
voters
does.
are-
This
all right
commission
then.
does.
And then-
sets their salary.
Sets their
Now, when we
salary.
start talking about how well they do their job in these other subjective categories, I think that's beyond the scope, and I think that would be unfair for you all to try and put in place a system that's very, very difficult for full-time people. To try and evaluate full-time people, I think is really hard when you start talking about part-timers. You know, what if somebody doesn't hold a district meeting? What if somebody holds a district meeting and no one shows up? What if someone doesn't show up to meetings? What if they're sick? There could be a number of different reasons, and I don't think it would be, again, fair to this body to expect you all to set up something that could reasonably be executed in terms of determining who is entitled to get what salary and whatnot. And again, that's why I think the responsibility for this commission is very clear, is to set the rate. How that is applied, you know, that's a completely separate matter. I'm not aware of anything, as someone who's involved with paying counsel from a processing standpoint. The thing that I look for is that person duly holding that office at the time we make that payment. I don't get into, did they show up this month or.
Well, I know you don't. I mean, I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying, my personal opinion is that there should be benchmarks.
Chairman.
There should be benchmarks. Because at this rate, I could just say, okay, we're gonna give them $10,000 more, and they don't hold one meeting outside of council. And that's not fair to the taxpayer and my tax dollar.
Chairman.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No problem. No, I don't disagree that we should have some sort of benchmark to connect this thing to, but listening to the CFO, I mean, it being less subjective might be a thing, but I'm thinking more along the lines of like tax receipts or something, like a percentage of collective revenues from the city, or something that we could, that as it fluctuates, it'll fluctuate this based upon X, Y, and Z, and that's less subjective. You know, it's based more upon how much money do we have versus what percentage do they get, right? I would be okay with something more along.
Well, we asked that and we didn't, we were told, just do it.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah?
So I think, and to Mr. Treasurer's point, I think we'll like stress ourselves out and be here a long time if we take a very subjective approach to determining the salaries. Our job is to objectively set the salaries.
Sure.
And then it's to the people to not reelect the people that are in the seats and not doing what they're supposed to do, or get them out of office. Like, there's a process for that. But the purpose of us like setting the salaries is not for it to be like merit based.
No, I don't think it should be
Yes.
merit-based either, per
Right,
se.
but if we're taking a subjective approach, then it becomes a merit-based process, which is gonna take us a lot longer to get.
Yeah, I'm with it. I'm figuring that way. If it's tied to the money, that way, as the money adjusts up, you know, they'll get the money that they're supposed to get as the money goes up. As the money goes down, it will adjust itself so that it's not such a big percentage of the budget, although it's a small percentage of the budget anyway.
Yeah, we're talking about
As-
pennies on the dollar, like
Yeah.
less than $10,000 for all 6 people to get it right.
Yeah, I'm including the mayor's salary too with regard to that particular mechanism. But Yeah, it's still a small percentage, but that goes both ways. It would be an easy do, either way. If you say, okay, y'all get X percentage of the budget or whatever, just appeasing what the chairperson saying, instead of just taking a dartboard and being like 15,000.
Oh no,
Which is what
I get what
she's
she's saying. Even like with the mayor thing, after we left, I did my homework, and it's like you got other people, which I know we could do this either. We could look at other people's pay scale within
whole state.
here, and also within the
Area.
the city or the city.
Okay, sure.
How much a chief make, how much DPS make, and it's like you look at it like, oh man, like that's kind of
Absolutely.
like right here, like and the mayor run the whole city. So stuff like that we gotta take consideration as well. After we left, I was like, oh, I looked into stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of like messed up. And also bring up the housing director. She over development and housing. She's like up there
Oh yeah.
versus the whole city. And what I'm saying, all these things. Once again, it's my first time on this board, and I'm like, some of the other stuff we can look at, and I just know once again, it's new to me and new to a lot of people. But it's just a lot of things that,
Did you ever rescind your motion? And you rescinded your motion?
Yeah, he rescinded
Your
it. She
second?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rescinded second.
Because we went into discussion, huh?
Yeah, we was okay. Yeah, it was okay. Okay. So right now, there's no motion on the floor though. We're still talking
No,
about it.
there's
So.
no motion on the floor, so are we ready for a motion so we can get out of here? Because that's all we have to discuss.
Okay. It's on you, bro.
It's on you.
It's on you.
Pass some.
You're the reason why we're
Yeah, I know,
here.
how does it go? I mean, how does it? Because I thought when we came back, it's
I mean,
just
you
one
guys-
thing,
you
or is it
guys
how many
throw-
items is
I mean,
this
you
one?
guys
Oh, a thousand.
throw a
Well,
number out.
yeah,
You want to see my nice
Yeah,
spreadsheet again? So if you do the 93, that's the dollar change. That's the total change.
I got a spreadsheet?
yeah, from the
Yeah,
first one.
she's-
Oh, you thought I was crunching these numbers in my head? No. Technology is your friend.
That's a yeah,
That's what's up.
that's a $9,200.
Spreadsheet's cool.
1,000. I can't. If I'm not.
It's what now? What is it for the council?
8397. 8,397.
Even?
Yes.
She put a little tab together.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take it. Excel to the
So
rescue.
an increase would
Which
be
is less than $1,000.
Sale will do it for you if you want to take your time.
Like, yeah.
$9 increase. You know what they're doing? 900.
Yeah, you might as well just give the flat number.
Do we have a
Just
number
flat
yet?
monthly
Flat,
increase.
flat, like a 10.
Yeah, just give the whatever number you want it to be.
I would say 9,400.
To even it out. A motion to increase the council pay to $9,400
From where's it at? 83 something
from
now.
$83.97.
So you're gonna give them $1,003 raise. That'll be
Yes.
$9,400.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need a formal motion.
The motion would be what?
I move to X.
I move to increase the city council pay to $9,400, which is $1,000 and $3 increase.
Support.
I was waiting.
Go ahead.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we increase council pay to by $1,003 to $9,400 for the year.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion? Well, there being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Miller,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Mitchell. Yes. All right. Motion carried, and I think our work is done.
Motion for adjournment.
Motion for adjournment. Thank you very much. At 6:05.
I thought y'all was gonna say like 15,000. We was talking about it. It said $700, $900. I was like, get on the money, man. That's cool.